Hi, my name is Marisela Rodriguez, and the topic I chose is salted fish. So let's get right in and talk about salted fish. So to begin with, FDA conducted a study about salted fish containing mercury. Mercury is typically found in areas such as lakes and oceans, and even the air that we are breathing now. Most of the fishes that are in lakes or even oceans contain at least zero point zero 0.01 to zero point zero 0.05 parts per million, also known as ppm of mercury. Obviously, we know that larger fish contain a greater amount of mercury due to them being exposed to these industrial pollutions that are creating and contaminating lakes and oceans and even the air that we are breathing today. So moving on to this chart describes what types of fish contain low mercury, moderate mercury, or high mercury. And low mercury fresh salmon is obviously low in mercury, moderate lobster, canned tuna, and in high mercury, shark and swordfish are high in mercury, just like as we discussed earlier. According to Food and Drug Administration, they established some rules and regulations to reduce the amount of imported salted fish. Typically, what FDA wants is for importers to follow certain guidelines and for just to make sure that everything that they are doing is up to code before they begin to distribute. FDA established an organization so-called HACCP. So mainly, all of these HACCP rules are mainly applied to international countries and even to us, the United States, just to make sure that all of the importations are up to code and they don't have any defects before they begin to distribute. So many of you might ask, what is HACCP? HACCP is also referred to Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point. HACCP has two jobs. One is to identify, and another one is to prevent unhealthy food that want to be distributed out into the public. HACCP has a 12-step process in which is followed by international facilities and even United States facilities. Mainly, just to stop them from importing unhealthy foods. So moving on to the HACCP 12-step process. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the 12-step process is about and what they're requiring. So here is a table of what the 12-step processes are. So consuming salted fish, who does it affect? Um, Specifically, it affects humans and wildlife. Just because we are consuming fish and waters and lakes are contaminated with methyl mercury. Consuming salted fish that contain high levels of mercury, it actually is known to cause long-term health problems as well. So, as we may know, salted fish contains mercury, and this mercury is actually a toxin. Um, it's a toxin metal that can cause long-term health problems. Just because we might consume a lot of fish, um, these health problems occur, such as damage to the brain, damage to the nerves, and even cardiovascular problems. And for pregnant women, it harms the fetus, the structure and the development of their brain. So, not only does consuming salted fish with high levels of mercury affect human beings, but it also affects our wildlife. Wildlife, their main food source comes from ocean and even lakes. Um, as mentioned before, most of these oceans and lakes are contaminated by natural production or even, industrial pollution. Um, for example, birds who had consumed high levels of salted fish are contaminated with high levels of mercury. So once it was time to lay their eggs, They laid their eggs, but their eggs never hatched because of their high consumption of, salted fish that contained mercury. It affected them in that way. At last, in order to prevent and reduce the risk of, humans and wildlife eating high salted fish that contain mercury, I think we would have to enforce the 12-step process by HACCP. And just by doing this, I feel like we could go a long ways and actually prevent these health effects that, are affecting us and, our wildlife.